Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Rachel Barnett with Gentle Frog. I'm here to create videos for you to help you understand QuickBooks slightly better than you currently do. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please put them in the chat box. Thank you.
Let's start with bookkeeping. What is it? It's recording the financial effects of transactions. That sounds like jargon. Really, like if you think about it, the financial effects would be money goes into your bank account, right? And why did it happen? Maybe you sold something from a client, so you need to record the effect of I've had a sale. Or maybe you've invested money into your business. I need to record that the Bank of Rachel loaned Gentle Frog some money. I like to think of it more simply and just tell people that you're just tracking money in and money out, right? So sometimes the money comes in from the Bank of Rachel, sometimes it comes in from a sale. When money leaves, maybe money left because I had to pay, my Zoom subscription. Maybe money left because I had to pay my staff for my team. Maybe I went out and I bought something for my grab and smash, like dishes. So you're keeping track of the money in and the money out. Then there's reconciling. Reconciling is not the act of logging the money that has come in and come out. It's the act of double checking. So if you're my age or older, you might remember we would balance our checkbooks. That's what reconciling is. It's just balancing your checkbook. It's comparing information within your program, system, whatever, in this case Excel, against other information, which in this example would be a bank statement. So the why we do it, right, like here's what it is, but like, why do you care? You care for peace of mind. If you know what's happening within your business, like here's how much money I have brought in, like here's my sales and here's my expenses, you have peace of mind because you know it. You may not like it, you might want to change it, but at least you know where you're starting. It provides you an overview of your business. I can say that I feel like things are doing well because I look at my checking account and I'm not going to bounce any checks this week, but that doesn't tell me anything. If I keep track of my bookkeeping, I can look and see how is my business doing? And that's what I want for you guys. Additionally, what I want for your tax preparer, which is not me, by the way, I want easier tax preparation. Your tax preparer will think you're great and they'll be grateful for you and they'll be happy to work with you. They're really hoping that you show up with some sort of organized records and not a big shoebox and a sad look on your face. And so if you handle your bookkeeping on a semi-regular basis, you'll have peace of mind that things are done. You'll know where things stand, so you just have a picture of your business. And then when it's time to file your taxes, whether it's the local, the city, state tax, or it's the federal tax, you won't be scrambling to gather information. You'll just have it at your fingertips. So that brings us to how do we do it? There's a handful of ways. There is not a one-size-fits-all method. So I just put together some options for you. I don't have a strong preference on what you use, and this isn't even every option available. This is enough to get your creative juices flowing. So let's start on the left with accounting software. You can take a look at something like QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online, just as a side note, is what we teach, or what I teach at the Seattle Score office. So if that's of interest to you, once a month, myself and some other people, we take turns. Once a month, there's a presentation at the Score office. It's a couple hours of just, here, let's talk about QuickBooks Online and how to use it and so forth. I encourage you to take a look at that if it's of interest to you. If you've looked at QuickBooks Online and it's not the right fit for you, you might take a look at Xero. It's also a web-based accounting platform. There's FreshBooks, a different web-based accounting platform, and there's Wave. I'm going to show you the various pricing pages for these. If any of them seem interesting, I recommend you take a look at YouTube and just watch people demonstrating the software. You're not watching to learn how to use the software. You're really just watching to see which one feels like it's something that you might enjoy learning. Right now you're watching this likely on a computer or on a phone. Before you made the purchase of your computer or of your phone, you looked at others to decide which one you wanted. That happened before you learned how to use it. That's all I'm recommending you do here, is just take a look at your options and see which option speaks to your heart, or which option you think you're going to be the least annoyed by, right? Maybe you're not like me. Maybe you're not super giddy to test out new accounting software, but maybe one of these you'll look at it and you'll say, I could tolerate learning that. So let me show you real quick. So the first I want to show you is QuickBooks Online. These are your various options for QuickBooks Online. There's the Sample Start Edition, the Essentials, the Plus, and if you go to the right, there's Advanced. So there's these various editions of QuickBooks Online, and that's totally great. What I have specifically done is I've toggled the slider over so you can see what the real price is. If you go to look this up yourself, you're going to see something that looks like this. And you're going to see the real price is kind of small and kind of hard to spot. This is the 50% off for 3 months price. So we'll just take a look at the real pricing. If you're considering QuickBooks Online, take a look at the features list and see if you can't figure out which one makes sense for you. If you're not sure what makes sense for you, reach out and talk to someone. Talk to somebody who does not earn a commission off of selling you a product. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I'm happy to show you my QuickBooks. If you ever have questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'll spend a few minutes running through it with you. You can talk to sales. I believe that sales earns a commission, so they tend to recommend things that are slightly more robust than you might need. But I wanted you to see, here's some options for you. If you look at QuickBooks and it's not the right fit, then I want you to take a look at Xero. So this is Xero. Xero is a competing accounting software. These are all competitors to one another, made by different companies. Xero has different plans that are available that offer different features. Here's a list of those features and kind of a chart to help you identify what might make sense for you. Again, if you're not sure, let me know. I'm happy to walk you through it. I don't know Xero as well as I know QuickBooks, but I know it well enough to kind of explain the things on the left and if they might or may not make sense for you. So a different option beyond that is FreshBooks. I don't have the ability to toggle off the discount. So you can see there's a discount here, 50% off for 4 months. I just want you to take a look at this and just know that the real price is kind of down below. But take a look again at the chart and just see which of these things make the most sense for your business. If you look at this and this isn't the right fit for you for any reason, then another software to consider is Wave. I really know nothing about Wave. So I want you to know that it exists. For some people, it's the right fit. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between these various solutions. But in addition to showing you Excel and suggesting the back of an envelope, I wanted to show you different solutions so you can kind of just look around and see what's going to make the most sense for you. In addition to the software solutions I've shown you, I've got a couple other things just to kind of let you know, like maybe you're not so much into accounting software, maybe you don't have the time or desire to learn accounting software. No problem. You can use Excel, which is what I'll demonstrate today. You can use a ledger paper. So you go to the office supply store and you get the striped paper and you kind of keep track of things that way. Or you can use the back of an envelope. I don't really recommend the back of an envelope, but I wanted to give you options. If you look at this and say, gosh, that's really great, but I do not, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter why, I don't want to do my own bookkeeping. I want to know a little bit about it. I want to understand the concepts on a high level, but that's where this discussion ends. That's no problem. You can outsource your help. You can hire someone to manage your bookkeeping on a regular basis. I put monthly here. You might be a daily person. You might be a weekly person. You might be monthly. You might be quarterly. Doesn't matter. Hire someone to manage it on a regular basis. You can hire someone to manage it annually. I know that sounds silly, but it happens. I have a couple clients that'll come to me once a year and just say, here, get me caught up for the year. Here's the deadline for my tax preparer. Let me know if you have questions. Your other option is just to bundle it with your taxes. I recommend if you're going to do this, let your tax preparer know early in the year so that you're not coming to them in March or April and saying, gosh, I know the deadline is coming right up. Could you organize a year's worth of data and file my taxes for me? So again, for this, we're going to focus on Excel. I'm really more concerned with making sure you understand when you enter your income and your expenses, what happens with them and how do they show up and that sort of thing. That's more important to me than running through all your different software options. So that's all I want to show you on this. So let's start by recording transactions. I've got some sample transactions, and so I'll show you those. I have some income and some expenses, and I'm going to put them into Excel. So let's hop over to that. So first, let me just show you what I've got for my income and expenses. I have all my records for my make-believe business are sitting here in a Google Drive folder. So my receipts, I've labeled them, Bob's Hardware and my bank statement and the water company, an invoice for sales, right? You get the idea. I've got it all in here and it's all nicely organized, waiting for me to do something magical with it. So let me go to Excel. So this, by the way, I got from bench.co. At the end of the presentation, I will provide a link so you can get this for yourself. I don't think this is comprehensive enough, mostly because I'm a bookkeeper and I'm thinking of all the things I would like it to do for me that it doesn't do. But I think this is good enough to explain the high-level concepts and help you feel more comfortable. So we'll start with this. This is our chart of accounts. Whenever you think about accounting, or when you think about accounting, you might think about how there are debits and credits. And the debits and credits is every time you enter something into your accounting records. So what we have here is the chart of accounts. If you've ever looked at a financial report, an income statement, also known as a profit and loss, or you've ever looked at a balance sheet, there's a list of categories on the left and some dollars on the right. All of those categories are just sourced from your chart of accounts. Your chart of accounts is your list of categories. And what this chart of accounts is doing for us is creating a drop-down list that we can use when we enter in the transactions or the things that happen. It's creating a drop-down list that we can use every time we enter money that gets deposited, money that gets spent, all that good stuff. And so I've got the categories on the left. I have the type in the middle. This is how I'm able to differentiate or tell my software, in this case Excel, how I can tell it if something should show up as an income, if it should show up as a cost of sales or cost of goods sold, or if it should show up as an expense. And then over to the right, I put a description. I really feel like the description is kind of helpful for you to have the aha moment for it to click, but I want you to know that you can track whatever you want. You have to track all of your income and you have to track all of your expenses, but the level of detail is really up to you. Your tax preparer will tell you the things you absolutely have to separate out. You can't put all your expenses into a line that just says business expenses. If you're ever unsure of what you should keep track of or what you need to keep track of, go to the IRS website and get a blank tax form, whichever tax form applies to your business, and just look and see what information am I going to need in order to file my taxes. I'm going to need to know my income. I'm going to need to know my cost of goods. I'm going to need to know, right, the various expenses. So we'll just keep it real simple and we'll just say like, okay, here's our sample list. Your business, you might choose to add more information to your sample list. I'm going to give you some examples. In the example of income, my business, we offer bookkeeping as well as training. So I might choose to have two different kinds of income. I might choose to keep track of my bookkeeping income separate from my training income. If we owned and operated a delicious bagel shop in Bellevue, we might choose to keep track of the bagels sold on site separately from the corporate orders and the catering orders that come in. If we own a smash and grab, which in make-believe land we do, we might choose to keep track of parties and events separate from hourly bookings. So I want you to kind of think about that as we go through this, and just think about, what do I want to keep track of for my business? I can put it all into, sales income and be done with it, or I can have extra details. What information is important to me as a business owner or a business manager? The same thing is true for your cost of goods and your expenses. So we'll start with your expenses. In the sample list, we have stuff combined. So let's go down to marketing and advertising. We have this all combined. Maybe for your business, maybe you're advertising on like radio and TV, and maybe you also do postcards, and maybe you do online ads for Google ads and so forth. My question to you would be, do you want it all lumped into one account, which is totally fine? Or do you want to separate those and say, I will make an account for online advertising, an account for print advertising, an account for, various types of media. In my QuickBooks file, I use QuickBooks, I keep track of my office expense with a lot of detail. And so I'll have office expenses, and then I'll have my software. And I'll split my software out and say, okay, I have this much is accounting software and this much is administrative software. The reason that I'm separating things out is because I want to keep track of how much money I spend in each of these areas. Mostly because I have an evil habit of buying more software than I need. And if I lump it all into one category, it'll blend in too much. So I want to really see, what am I doing with my money so that I can keep track of it. I want you to think about the same for your business. As we go through this, if you're imagining that you're entering your transactions into a list and you have a drop down to pick from, what information is useful for you to keep track of? What information do you want summarized and at your fingertips so you can make decisions about how you spend money for your business? Now, I said we would come back to cost of goods sold, and we are. If you're not already familiar with cost of goods sold, it's the cost of the things that you bought that you later sold to a client. So, product purchases for the purpose of resale. It doesn't matter if you bundle it or not, right? Like in our grab and smash room, in our make-believe grab and smash room, you can get plates and dishes and cups and so forth. And we might just charge you an hourly rate, or you might book a half-day party. I'm not, in our make-believe situation here, we're not going to itemize and say, okay, we're going to charge you for one plate and one cup and so forth. We have a flat rate, and you get a bundle, right? You get some time in the room, you get the protective gear, you get the box of things to smash, you get the smashing devices, whatever the case. Because it says cost of goods sold doesn't mean you have to itemize it out. It's literally just, what is the cost of the things that you have sold to your clients? I'm going to take a different example. Let's pretend that we're landscapers. If you've ever worked with the QuickBooks Online sample file, or if you've ever seen my presentation at the SCORE office, then you know that the example is landscapers. If we're a landscaper and we're redoing someone's yard, we're going to go to the grass store and we're going to get some fresh grass. We're not going to itemize that on our bill to our client. We're just going to say, okay, client, for some number of dollars, I will redo the front yard. I'll pick up whatever you got going on here, pull the weeds, put down some fresh grass, give you instructions to maintain it. It'll cost you a flat unit. The money that I spend to buy that grass, that goes in cost of goods sold. The money that I collect from my client, that goes into income. So this will make more sense as you start to think about your own business and why you spend money. But I really wanted you to kind of have an aha moment about, how is a cost of goods sold different than an operating expense? And the answer is just, did you buy it to resell it to your client? Doesn't matter how you resell it, whether you bundle it or individual it, just did you buy it to resell? So the second tab I have here is the transactions tab. Now, I saved you from watching me enter all these by hand, but you get the idea. So these are transactions that show up on my one bank statement. In make-believe land, I have one business account. All my things, all my purchases, all my deposits, everything goes through my one business account. So let me just show you this stuff. So I spent money on the water company. So this one is $45 on August 3rd. So if I come down here, I've got August 3rd, Main Street Water, minus $45. The formula is automatically changed this. So it says, okay, when I do this, the running balance in my checkbook shows that I have $5,200 left. And the category, which is the Y, is phone, internet, and utilities. Just a reminder, the category is right here. It's the accounts on your chart of accounts or the categories on your chart of accounts. So I just pick from the drop-down list and say, okay, that's what that is, and that's what everything else is. So I had Megan Smith, bought a 2-hour combo, $35. Bonnie Michaels had a 4-hour large party pack, $500. This is what I was saying before, that I had purchased things to sell to Bonnie, but I didn't list it individually on her invoice. That doesn't make it any less of a cost of goods sold. So all these things, I'll just run through them so you can kind of see them real quick. So this is our September rent. So you're going to have a situation like this. These are our cost of goods sold, where you've got expenses and you have income and you've sold things to clients and you've kept track of them and you have them all organized in some way, but you need to go back and summarize them. That's what we're doing here, is we're going back and summarizing. So I've got the date, my description. This information is just for me. My dollars, so money I've received is a positive number, money I've spent is a negative number. My running balance, and my categories. We'll come back to cleared later. What I like about this is that it automatically generates an income statement for me. An income statement is also known as a profit and loss statement, right? As bookkeepers and accountants, we use these words interchangeably, which is sometimes less of a treat. So let's take a look at the income statement. If you ever have a situation where somebody is asking you for a financial report and they have a very expectant look, like you should definitely understand what they're asking for, there's a strong chance that this is what they want. Your income statement or your profit and loss report has 3 sections. The first is your income. The second is your cost of sales or cost of goods sold. And the third is your expenses. Let's go back over that. The income is the money that your business has earned from conducting business. So it's not the money you've put into the business bank account to get things going. It's the money that your business has earned. Then the cost of sales or the cost of goods sold, that's the money that your business spent to buy the things that you sold to your clients. And then your expenses, that's the money that your business spent to run the business. So it's not money that you transferred into savings or any of that good stuff. It's money spent to run the business. So let's take a look at this. This income statement is for the period of August. So from August 1st to August 31st. As we look down, we can see we had $90 worth of cost of goods sold. We had no sales, so no income at all. Our gross profit, which is our income minus our cost of sales, it's a negative $90. And then down below, these are all our expenses in the month of August to run our business. Our total expenses were $2,000. The profit, or in this case the loss, our loss for the month of August is about $2,200. That's disappointing and sometimes frustrating, especially because you look at your checkbook and you're like, well, I didn't lose money. But then you remember that your income statement or your profit and loss is only showing you a tiny window. It's just saying from this start date to this end date, what do I have going on? So let's go ahead and change it. Let's say that we start in July and we end in August. So in this case, we start in July and we see that we have revenue of $270, and then we have our expenses, and then our net profit or our loss in this case is $1,900. When you're working with your profit and loss and you're thinking about your income accounts, this is where that earlier discussion really comes into play, that you can have your income accounts separated in whatever way makes the most sense for you. In this case, I've got sales revenue, service revenue, returns, interest, etc. If there's something that you want to keep track of, like, you can separate it out and keep track of it there.